සිදු කළ විශේෂ අධ්‍යයනයෙන්ද හෙළිවුණේ මේ විශිෂ්ටත්වයයි. අපේ වැව් පද්ධතිය පණිමින් සුරකිමු.
Good evening and welcome to the news on TV1. You're watching News First, where the people come first. Now, before we take a look at the news in detail, let's first take a look at your headlines.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
University students tear down police barricades at the entry road to Parliament. Tear gas fired to disperse protesters. Professionals and trade unionists join the people's struggle and take to the streets. Opposition to move a no-confidence motion against the government and also impeach the president. Sajid Premadasa presents 9 proposals to revive the economy.
අපි සූදානම් නැහැ දේශපාලන ඩීල් දාන්න.
Attempts to create violence among the public, staging protests. A revelation from Anuradha Disanayaka. Central Bank increases policy interest rates. Resignation refused. Ali Sabri still the Minister of Finance.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Now the news in detail. A tense situation was reported between students of the Kelaniya University and the police this evening. Student protesters attempted to march towards the parliament through the Polduwa entrance after tearing down police barricades.
The protest was organized by the members of the Kelaniya Inter-University Students Federation. The protest march, which began from the Kelaniya University premises, proceeded towards the entrance road towards the parliament. The police then fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse the protesters when they attempted to proceed towards parliament through the Polduwa entrance. The protesters sought solutions to the prevailing economic crisis and demanded the current government to step down. Meanwhile, a group of disabled war heroes also staged a protest at the same site before the university students marched to the area. The moment this young girl offered a rose to the armed officers who were on duty at a barricade set up to stop protesters caught the eye of many.
A protest organized by youth opposing the government's actions was held in Kurunegala today. The protesters marched towards Vilboda, where a personal office of Minister Johnston Fernando is located. The road leading to the office at the Puagas junction was barricaded by the police. The group then staged a protest in the Kurunegala town.
We need a proper future. This is our country. How many young people are there in the tri-forces? What is their future? There's no paper for our exams, but the rulers are traveling everywhere and living comfortable lives.
Meanwhile, the opposition is preparing to move a motion of no confidence against the government and to impeach the president. We refuse to partner up with an administration that has been rejected by the people. We are not ready to enter into political deals against the people's mandate. I am ready to take up positions or leave my positions to protect our policies. But we are not willing to enter into deals with thieves. I was asked to take up the position of Prime Minister 10 times during the 52-day government. Afterwards, I was offered the post of Prime Minister 61 times. I never betrayed the leadership at the time. We are not ready to ignore our responsibility. However, Honourable Speaker, the 20th Amendment cannot be enforced when we take up these responsibilities. There cannot be an executive presidential system. We cannot even think about creating a government led by this president.
Either lead, follow or get out of the way.
Therefore, Honourable Leader of the House, either lead or get out of the way.
Either lead, follow or get out of the way.
We have taken a decision. All the SJB parliamentarians and our leader discussed this. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa must go home. If not, we will move a no-confidence motion against the government, and we will also bring forward a motion to impeach the president. We must start things off by removing the leadership. If not, solutions to the economic crisis cannot be brought forward. Let us impeach the president. Let us remove him from power for the betterment of the people and their right to live. Let's pass the motion of impeachment to remove the president from power. We are ready to do that. We will surely bring a no-confidence motion against the government and defeat this government. Let us take all the measures available to us through the constitution. Considering the present state of the country, to truly pay attention to what the people are saying, we must support this motion of no confidence. Today people are presenting their difficulties, but the government is not paying any heed. The people are demanding the president's resignation. They also say that another Rajapaksa should not come into power. Since that is not happening, the parliament has the authority to remove them from power. As public representatives, we must work towards that. A proposal to remove the president from power must be brought forward. With that, I believe a no-confidence motion to remove this government also must be brought forward. By presenting a no-confidence motion, the opposition is trying to implement a huge conspiracy, because today the entire parliament is on trial. The entire country knows that they are bringing the no confidence motion to disturb the process going on with the IMF. We will have to face a situation similar to the one prevailing in Pakistan. This is a corrupt act. Did the cabinet resign? Was Ali Sabri reappointed as the finance minister? A debate regarding these matters arose in Parliament today. I have already delivered my letter of resignation to the President on the 5th of April and made sure to deliver a copy to you as well. When the SLFP members met him that evening, the same day, the President strongly rejected my resignation. His argument was that during a time of crisis such as this, the people's mandate must be respected and those in power have to fulfill their duties. I will remain in this position only until the end of April, under two conditions. After the 5th of April, I will not be enjoying the privileges that a Deputy Speaker is entitled to. I will not attend parliamentary sessions for 3 months until this crisis is solved. Until then, I will not comment. I have no intention of being the Prime Minister, but if the position of Chief Minister of the Ur province is given, I would accept it. I cannot speak in English, and I don't know about international matters. Can I fix this country? Ranil Wickremesinghe came here with 1 seat. Therefore, he must fix the country. Why did he come to Parliament with 1 seat? Why did Maithripala Sirisena come back here after holding the presidency? In the recent past, people who used to consider the Carlton House as a temple are now surrounding it with aggression. We must act according to the pulse of the people. The Deputy Speaker resigned. He is a person who holds a position that is independent. So this Deputy Speaker, while being independent, tells the people that he has resigned. To this day, no minister has resigned legally. It is unfair that you continue to sit in that chair even after you resigned. This anomaly has arisen in the allocation of seats. You are still acting as if there is a cabinet. Therefore, just like the resignation of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, I request you to address this anomaly in Parliament. Today, the former ministers are travelling in their official vehicles. Their bodyguards are still around them. Apart from the ministers who were appointed recently, the rest of them who resigned are still in the seats allocated for ministers. You are trying to show us that we need to work together to find a solution. But this is a lie. Several MPs said that the ministers did not resign and that this is a scam. It is in the Gazette. You must make these observations with more responsibility. A decision on how seats are allocated will be made after a government is established. It is the Speaker who decides on how seats will be allocated. Honourable Speaker, at least you must inform the President to step down and for these issues to be solved. At least you must tell him. If not, the country will descend into more chaos. Why should the President resign? We will function as the government. I am acting as the State Minister as well. We are working in those ministries. We will appoint a new cabinet next week. Do not have any suspicion regarding that. According to the government faction, the President is not resigning and the government is also not resigning. Therefore, I would like to request the people of Sri Lanka to continue your protests because this Parliament is not willing to listen to the people. If that is the case, there is only one solution. All of you are responsible for the state of the country. We must restructure our debt. That is where the issue lies. We have no government and we have no finance minister. We cannot continue like this. The confidence in our country has completely broken down. There is no issue in the absence of a finance minister. The President has not accepted the letter of resignation of the finance minister Ali Sabri. He is still the finance minister.
Based on the IMF report and according to the Gazette on our table,
You are the Minister of Finance. I wish to know whether you are speaking as the Minister of Finance.
I'll come to that.
I am speaking as the Finance Minister. The President appointed me as the Finance Minister. Afterwards, I felt that there are people who are more qualified for this position and that they should take it up. The international community, including the European countries and the IMF, are saying that the political instability in the country is detrimental to the nation. I invite you to come and join us and form an interim government. You did not agree to that. I knew that when I accepted this, I would be criticized. I knew that I would be laughed at. But above all, I love our motherland. If qualified and suitable people do not take up this position, despite what would happen to me, I will do all that I can for this nation. I have not come into politics expecting any personal gains.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa today presented 9 proposals in Parliament on how the country could come out of the current economic crisis. Firstly, we should prevent the default of debt which is currently going out of hand. However, this is an issue we will have to soon appoint global legal and financial advisors. We need to go for a consent solicitation with the party that we obtain loans from. We need to get the loan repayment suspended, both the capital and the interest payment. If we do not do this, we will be in big trouble. We will go into debt default, and in simple terms, we will be a bankrupt country. Secondly, the independence of the central bank must be established. We need to bring in legislation that will increase the confidence in the central bank. We saw Nandalal Veerasinghe appointed to the position of governor. That is a positive move in the right direction. Thirdly, we need to get a bilateral and multilateral loan repayment relief period. We need to get the support of the international financial organizations for this. By doing this, we will be able to build up foreign reserves. Fourthly, right now we are only receiving technical assistance from the International Monetary Fund. If we want to get financial assistance, we will have to sustainably manage our debt or present a mechanism on how we can restructure our debt. It is only then that the IMF will provide us with financial assistance in addition to the technical assistance that they are providing us with. Especially, we will have to plan and engage in discussions with those who has lent us money. Fifthly, we need to obtain bridge financing, both bilateral and multilateral, to progress forward as a country. We need to strengthen our diplomatic ties and develop good faith. If we do this, we will be able to develop our foreign reserves between 6 to 12 months. When the international community develops their faith in us and when our ratings go higher, we will be able to go to the international market and obtain refinancing loans to pay back our debt. The sixth proposal is that a new budget must be presented immediately to provide concessions to poor communities. Public representatives must unconditionally make all sacrifices at this point of time. The people who are capable must contribute to state expenses and the rest of the community must be given concessions. The seventh proposal is that we need to get the support of experts and intellectuals in these fields for this program. The eighth proposal is that no matter what anyone in this house says, there is a massive issue about food security in our country. There is going to be a food security issue. I believe there is no agriculture minister there. The responsibility of the government is to speak to the World Food Programme, the United Nations Food Agriculture Organization and the World Health Organization and other United Nations organizations about this massive issue that we are about to face. We need to take steps to obtain international assistance to avoid such a situation in the country. We need to act now. I believe it is already too late. Also, mainly I would like to state, Honorable Speaker, that we have a repayment of $1.3 billion in May. We need to temporarily work on suspending this payment.
Billion 1.3 ඒවා ආපහු සේවාකරණයට ලක් වෙනවා මේ මාසේ. මේක අපි කොහොම හරි తాවකාලිකව අත්හිටව ගන්නට ඕන.
Speaking at a media briefing, Jatika Janabalawege leader Andrew Kumara Disanayake expressed the following views.
Even though the protesters are staging these demonstrations with so much hope, the president has taken a stern decision not to step down. What does this behavior of the president mean? It means that the government is not ready to listen to the pleas of the citizens who have taken to the streets against them. Therefore, we need to intensify our protests. We should not stop these demonstrations. A single person has completely ignored the pleas of 20 million people. In the meantime, we need to be more careful than ever before. The government is trying to incite violence among these peaceful protests. If you take the Mirihan incident where a bus was burnt, this bus was set on fire right in front of the police officers. There is a video footage of this arsonist. However, the police has still failed to arrest him. What does this mean? This government is trying to incite violence among these protesters by sending their henchmen to attack police and military officers who are on duty at these demonstrations. We have received information about about these attempts by the government. Therefore, we request the citizens who are involved in these protests not to allow any violence activities during your demonstrations.
Meanwhile, Speaker Mahinda Pabewardena ordered the removal of MPs Janaka Tissakuttiarachchi and Chaminda Vijayasiri from the chamber. They were removed from the chamber for obstructing parliamentary proceedings.
They have deployed 15 police officers to protect a parliamentarian. Some members have even got STF members for their protection. We don't exactly know the reason for this. It was revealed that 15 police officers are stationed at the house of MP Tissakuttiarachchi. Images of this event went viral on social media platforms. We need to know whether these parliamentarians are voicing their voices because they have now received enough security. Honourable Speaker, don't allow them to misuse these parliamentary privileges. They are trying to protect the wealth they stole from our people using these privileges. Please look into this matter. They even provided security to the house of parliamentarian Chaminda Vijayasiri when there was a protest in Bandarawela, but they only deployed 4 officers. As far as I know, no member in this house has received any police protection. Therefore, I urge MP Chaminda Vijayasiri to stop lying without knowing the true facts. I have pictures to prove my allegation. The police officers were sleeping in his house. They didn't send any police officers to guard my house. I anyway don't want it. I am living alone. I have nothing to fear. But there are officers in his house even now. If you are doing this, let's do it in a proper manner. If not, let's adjourn the session and have a separate meeting with the speaker. If they are behaving like this, we can't even go out.
Thereafter, the speaker decided to adjourn the session and upon his return announced that he decided to remove the 2 MPs for the day as per the provisions of the law.
I am saddened by the conduct of the 2 parliamentarians during this important debate. This is unacceptable. Therefore, as per Rule 79 of the Standing Orders, I decided to remove these 2 members from the House until we complete this session today.
News First with the people.
We must now cross over to a short commercial break, but we'll be right back.
නිවෙසපුරා ගලන මේ සතුට සුරක්ෂිත කරන්නේ Eslon Insight. Eslon ජීවයයි ජලය ජීවිතේ.
Tech Bus, launched to increase the tech know-how of Sri Lankan students, concludes on a successful note. Organised by Slit Institute.
Tech Bus.
Main sponsor.
Slit Knowledge University, challenging convention and redefining education.
Welcome back to News First. People continue to protest, demanding solutions to the crises in the country. We begin our report of these protests from the Liberty Roundabout in Colombo.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ ආණ්ඩුව අද හත්පොලේ ගාගෙන මහජනතාව පාරටම ඇදලා දාලා මේ රට මේ ඉදිරියට ගෙන යන්න නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මේ ආණ්ඩුව රාජපක්ෂලා සියල්ලගෙම තියලා අස්විය යුතුයි. මේ රට අගාධයට දාලා සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ආර්ථිකව විනාශ කරලා රට නැති කරන්න දෙන්න බෑ.
The youth held a protest at the Independence Square in Colombo.
As a country, we cannot continue like this. We're here in the middle of monsoon season. We're calling for this change because we cannot go on like this as a country.
මෙතන ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නේ මිනිස්සුන්ට පෙන්වන්න මේක අපි ආතල්ලකට මේ කරන්නේ කියලා. අපි මෙතන ඉන්නේ අහිංසක මිනිස්සු වෙනුවෙන්
I think what really needs is systemic change, and I think for that we need an entire parliament change. We need the youth to step in. The corruption doesn't stop at them, it's the entire system.
Most of these youth, they're trying to leave the country, and if they leave this country, what will happen? What will remain? This is the generation which can do wonders, and unfortunately they have to come here and stand and fight to send people away.
The people deserve to have their basic necessities met. The people deserve fertilizer. The people deserve food. The people deserve medicine. The people deserve cement. The people deserve paper. The people deserve education. The people deserve petrol. The people deserve diesel. The people deserve kerosene. The people deserve electricity. The people deserve social media freedoms. The people deserve the rule of law to be upheld.
A protest was also held at the Lipton roundabout in Town Hall.
Like so many of us are here in order to protest what's happening with regards to education, with regards to our health, with regards to our economy. We are protesting on it because it affects everybody. It does affect all of us equally. And Gotabaya can't do that. He has proven he can't do it. He has proven himself incapable.
You has everything, but we has nothing. This is our country. You cannot violate our right.
People also staged a protest in the Mavanala town. The protest was organized by businessmen in Mavanala.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka today increased the policy interest rates by 7%. Accordingly, the fixed deposit facility rate is 13.5%. The fixed loan facility rate has been increased to 14.5%. Now, bank interest rates will also rise in line with the increase in the policy interest rate. Now, speaking at the central bank, the newly appointed governor explained his future plan of action.
We have increased the policy rate by 700 basis points. I think it's historically highest and tightest monetary policy action Central Bank has taken so far. The Monetary Board, together with myself, is of the view that we have to be very proactive in our monetary. We have not been so proactive in the past. This is the reason why we have come to this kind of situation. So we are now catching up with the situation, and now we are taking a strong monetary policy action today. My approach is I will be very truthful, and there's nothing to hide. We'll be very transparent and very independent as a central bank, and I strongly believe independent central bank is the only way that we can address this situation, and that I'm here to implement. There's no political interference in my regime. That I have made it very clear to the authorities. Soon after I assumed it is today, first meeting I had with bankers, I gave them a very clear message. Again, we will be very transparent in dealing with them. We'll be very open and truthful, and also we need their full support. It's like moving down a slope fast without any brake. So when the vehicle is moving down the slope without any brake, and when I jump into that vehicle, my immediate objective is to fix the brakes and slow down and stop it before it's going to crash. That is the immediate objective. So that's what we are trying to do now. Because of the certain action that whatever the policy is, it won't turn around immediately. Situation could worse further, a couple of weeks or months, but still turnaround will happen at some point.
Journalists questioned as to who will be attending the meeting with the International Monetary Fund or the IMF scheduled on the 11th of April.
Since the finance minister had resigned, we cannot do it on the 11th, but I spoke with them this evening and requested for a virtual meeting. Although we were supposed to attend the meeting, it was cancelled. Then we organized a virtual meeting with their managing director. Although Finance Minister Ali Sabri tendered his resignation, the President has not accepted his resignation, so we have a Finance Minister. We requested for us to be given an opportunity to hold this virtual meeting. In addition, he can attend the meeting. If not, the Secretary to the Treasury and the Governor, since they have now been appointed, can hold this meeting even without him. We requested for us to be given an opportunity to hold this meeting.
In other news, associations representing private sector firms engaged in export, import and logistic industries warned of catastrophic consequences for the economy if the ongoing economic and political crisis is not addressed with immediate action.
These 23 associations, we contribute about 16.7 billion or slightly more to the national economy in dollars. Right. We employ 50% of the workforce of this country directly and indirectly. We are trying to retain everybody in employment, try to give people whatever we can, but there is a limit that what we as industrialists can do. The export sector is keen to export more, services are willing to export more services. So we really need to understand the gravity of what is going on. From here onwards, what we want to say is, yes, absolutely IMF should have been yesterday, not tomorrow or next week, but now we have to move forward. In that scenario, we are pushing government, both not only government, opposition, to come up with a political stable system so that the world will believe us. Otherwise, we will not get the confidence of the world to fix our problem.
Our overseas buyers are asking us whether we could continue to supply our products to them. So that's a major problem to us because we are not sure whether we can continue work. We had the auction this week. We had a lot of difficulties because we were not sure whether we can have the auction because we have the auction on e-platform. Signals were weak because of the continuous power cuts. Factories can't work. The teas don't come to Colombo. So can we continue like this? We are not competitive because, we are only producing 5% of the global tea production. We will be totally out of the scene. So unless we do something, to issue this forex issue, energy issues, that will create a major problems to the tea industry, which is bringing more than $1 billion to the country.
Professor Udara Piris from the National Research University Higher School of Economics in Moscow explained about the appropriate measures Sri Lanka must take in addressing the economic crisis in the country.
What we need to do is to first have a plan and a mandate in place for how we should restructure our external debt, how we should restructure our internal debt, and how we should capitalize the domestic banks. Once we have this mandate, then the IMF can help us in order to implement this in a way which is going to be acceptable to a broader set of creditors. But if we go to the IMF and say, please help us, give us money, tell us what to do, we are going to get a bad deal. And countries have had a very bad deal from doing this. But we need to take the authority and the leadership to get the best out of the IMF. In terms of can the IMF give us money, they can always give us emergency funding. Our friendly countries can also give us emergency credit lines. But that doesn't resolve the problem.
Yeah, it's all temporary.
It's all temporary. We definitely need to do it.
Yeah.
But this is not a solution. It's not even worth talking about.
Right.
Because, basically, if we have the new year coming up in a week, things will be okay. There's relatively okay for the next week or two. And then what? We can't keep getting swap lines and credit lines.
The European Union has requested Sri Lankan authorities to start an in-depth discussion with the International Monetary Fund on the reforms needed to bring the Sri Lankan economy back to a sustainable path. They issued a joint statement on the recent developments in Sri Lanka together with the diplomatic missions of the EU member states and with the diplomatic missions of Australia, New Zealand, Norway, Switzerland and the United Kingdom. The EU delegation called on all parties to explore constructive and democratic ways out of the current crisis that has taken its toll on the Sri Lankan people.
Bloomberg says Sri Lanka's double-digit inflation is expected to persist at least through the first quarter of next year. According to a survey of economists, Bloomberg reported that consumer prices will likely surge to around 20% in the second and third quarters of this year. That is nearly double the pace of projections made in January and in turn pushed up full year 2022 forecast to 16.9% from 9.2% seen earlier.
Let's now cross over to another short commercial break. Do stay tuned to News First.
Tech Bus, launched to increase the tech know-how of Sri Lankan students, concludes on a successful note. Organized by Slit Institute.
Tech Bus.
Main sponsor.
Slit Knowledge University, challenging convention and redefining education.
මොකද මහත්තයා මේ?
නෑ මේ ගෙදර සිංක් එකේ
අයි මහත්තයා ස්ලෝන් නෙවෙයිද දැම්මේ?
හදිස්සියට බාලා පයිප් එකක් දැම්මේ. නැද්ද මුදලාලි ඊයේ පෙරේදා කඩේ රිපෙයාර් කරන්න ගෙනාපු ගම් චුට්ටක්.
මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට හොඳම විසඳුම ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටක්. හැබැයි ඉක්මනින් දාගන්න ස්ලෝන් පයිප් එකක්.
එස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැම ගෙදරකම සිටිය යුතු ජලනල කාර්මිකයා දැන් රඟම ග්‍රොසරියෙන් මිලදී ගන්න.
Welcome back to the news. Government and semi-government employees staged a protest demanding for a solution to the hardships faced by the people.
National trade unions launched an island-wide token strike today. A series of protests were also held today. The main protest was held at the Lipton roundabout in Town Hall, Colombo. Many representatives of the Trade Union Coordination Centre, professionals and civil organisations took part in the protest.
The government and Rajapakshas don't seem to understand the meaning behind Gota Go Home. Therefore, as trade unions, we took matters to the street today, urging the Rajapaksha government to step down. We would like to inform the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the government not to move ministers around as if they are chess pieces and play games. Now the people are demanding you to step down. If you don't resign with your dignity intact, the working class is ready to remove you from power. If the people of the country are not accepting this government and the government and the president cannot overcome this economic challenge. Delaying the process of finding solutions to this crisis by one day is like pulling our country backwards for 100 days. Government workers from across the country staged protests in several areas demanding for steps to be taken to stabilize the economy that is collapsing and destabilizing the country. Government employees staged a protest opposite Setsiripaya in Battaramulla. We cannot get answers from this government. They need to go home. Gota go home. Not only Basil and everyone else should go home. You should also return the money that you stole from the people. Even after people are gathered like this, what do they discuss inside Parliament? This is all a deal. They are misleading us. They might be expecting this struggle to die down in the coming weeks. They declared the 11th and the 12th as holidays in hope that our struggle will weaken. Postal workers staged a demonstration opposite the Anuradhapura post office this afternoon. Government and semi-government workers staged another demonstration opposite the Kegol Municipal Council. The protesters subsequently marched towards the town. Meanwhile, another protest was staged opposite the central shopping complex of Kegol by the Ceylon Electricity Board Joint Trade Union Alliance. A group of government employees also protested in the Kuliapitiya town. This crisis was created by the government. Gotabaya go home. But you and your government needs to return the money that you stole from the people. We will put all of you in jail. As government workers, we are standing by the people. Public servants from the central province also staged a protest opposite the clock tower in Kandy and demanded for solutions to the crisis the country is facing.
A protest was staged by medical staff at several hospitals in a show of support for the protests organized by public servants. Nurses and staff members of the Colombo South Teaching Hospital in Kalubowila joined the protest opposite the hospital despite heavy rain.
කිසිම හිරිකිතයකින් තොරව මේ පාලකයෝ මිනිසු මහපාට ඇදලා දාලා තියෙනවා. ගෑස් නැහැ, තෙල් නැහැ, කිරිපිටි නැහැ, කන්න බොන්න නැහැ.
This was a protest held opposite the Kandy National Hospital. Staff of the Kuliapitiya Teaching Hospital also staged a protest this afternoon against the conduct of the current government.
No gas, no oil. We are under so much pressure. The health ministry is not providing us with any reliefs. Today, there was also a shortage in essential medicine. Life-saving drugs are also running out of stock, and some hospitals have also stopped various surgeries.
Doctors and staff attached to the Rikil-Lagaskada base hospital also staged a protest this afternoon.
In the future, we won't be able to perform emergency surgeries. There will also be a severe shortage of essential medicine. Inflation is sky high. The people standing in queues will have to suffer even more due to the shortage of medicine.
A protest was also staged opposite the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital. The protest was organized by the nursing staff of the hospital.
The state minister spoke about some nefarious surgeries carried out by a doctor named Shafi. The people who are even on their deathbeds will not accept the claims made by the state minister of pharmaceuticals, Channa Jayasumana, regarding the operations carried out by Dr. Shafi. Teachers also took to the streets today, demanding the government to step down immediately. Teachers from Velimada marched towards the Velimada town from the Velimada Divitotavala zonal office to protest against the current government's conduct. Teachers of St. Benedict's College, Colombo, also staged a protest in Kotahena today despite heavy rains. We need proper leadership to face this situation. The people are facing many issues because of the things that were done in the recent past.
Lawyers staged protests in several areas today. The protests at the Mount Lavinia court premises were staged demanding the government led by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to step down. The executive and the legislature should realize that their mandate is over. Allow the people to decide on a new leadership. Now don't try to amend the constitution. It's against the law to do it. The people are demanding for your resignation. Another protest was staged by the members of the Minuangoda Bar opposite the premises of the Minuangoda Court Complex. This slogan, Gota Go Home, doesn't mean we are letting you go that easily. We need to bring back the money they stole. We can pay off our debts using that money. I don't think there has been any family in history that has destroyed a country like this.
The freedom of expression and the right to protest are both hallowed principles of a vibrant democracy. And today, in Sri Lanka, we see the people expressing themselves all over the country peacefully. What began in the paddy fields and farmlands in rural Sri Lanka many months ago is today a non-violent people's movement across the nation. But it is important to remember that freedom comes with duty. A duty to ensure that the rule of law is respected at all times. The most powerful, meaningful changes in the world have been achieved through individual determination, collective responsibility, and intelligent leadership. Respect the law. Reject any form of violence. Always take responsible action.
A series of protests organized by the Jatika Janabala Vegaya under the theme "Let's End the Reign of 74 Years of Cruel Government" was held today.
Protesters marched from Miriswatha Junction to Gampaha along the Colombo Kandy main road. We urge Gotabaya Rajapaksa to step down from power. If you can't, the people of this country will chase you away. Another protest organized by the Jathika Janabalawegya was held in Panadura. The protesters marched from Nalluruva junction to Panadura. Even the people who supported Gotabaya Rajapaksa wrote his theme song and sang his song, are speaking out against him and asking him to go home. The creators of that campaign are saying, Gota, go home. A man with no sense is now seated on this chair and is destroying this country. No matter what he says, the power of the people is stronger. We will not stop our struggle until he is removed from power.
Although people have been waiting in queues since this morning, fuel was dispensed at only one filling station in Anuradhapura. There is no meaning in the government's actions. We have no way of continuing our occupations. They are wasting time in Parliament. There is no meaning to what they are doing in Parliament. Fuel was issued last night at the Kantale Cooperative Fuel Station after 5 days. A heated situation arose when the public weren't allowed to fill fuel into cans. Meanwhile, the people protested in Panadura demanding the government to provide them solutions by blocking the road in front of the Panadura fuel station. The police had to intervene in order to clear the roads.
We have to chase away all the useless parliamentarians above 75 and bring youth into the parliament. This is a curse. They should be cursed, not us. We have no way of harvesting. We are here for days. We will drag the chairman of CPC here to show him our plight.
Long queues for fuel were also seen in the Dehiyata Kandye and Sandunpura areas this morning.
Remove all the 225 from the parliament and bring in cows from New Zealand. At least our children will get some milk then. Please resign and make way for a good leadership. We are suffering. Our children are also suffering. When media ask us questions, we respond. The idiots are shouting in parliament. What is the meaning of this? If there is an official that can give us a solution, direct us to him. We can protest. We are angry. If we enter into a protest with all this anger, the Ministry of Defence and its officers will have a difficult time.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Energy states that the money was paid for the Singapore diesel ship that had been anchored in international waters for 16 days. It had 37,500 metric tons of diesel and $52 million had to be paid for it. In addition, nearly 16 million rupees had to be paid for the 16-day late fees. The unloading of diesel was scheduled to begin this afternoon. What is the solution the CPC is offering? We will provide the required fuel stocks for the stations. We are advising the people to obtain fuel in an orderly manner.
Now it goes without saying that these are difficult, challenging times for ordinary Sri Lankans, even more so for those already living below the poverty line.
The rising cost of living has affected almost everyone, especially low-income families in rural Sri Lanka. With the Sri Lankan New Year around the corner, Gammadda launched the Aurudu Smiles initiative, in which needy families will be given a pack of food provisions to help them tide over these difficult times. Gammadda launched this initiative with the support of generous donors. These food items were dispatched to villagers across the country on trains and buses. Starting today, these packs of food provisions will be delivered throughout the island through the Gammadda network. These food packs were distributed among families in Hikkaduwa and Hingurakoda today. While it is impossible to help everyone, Gammadda decided that it would do what it can. Gammadda, by the people, for the people.
And that's it for the news tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shehan Ranatunga together with sign language interpreter Brian De Cruz. Thank you for watching and good night.